I gave my dad $20,000 for his birthday. He tore it up. I gave my dad a $20,000 check for his 50th birthday. He ripped it in half and said, "You can't buy my respect." Mom laughed and added, "We don't need money from a keyboard clown." So, I stopped paying their bills. Now I wake up to dozens of missed calls. Hey Reddit, I need some brutal honesty here. Was I wrong for walking away? The backstory. I'm Ethan, 22. I make money online e-commerce, freelancing, digital stuff. Basically, I sit behind a laptop all day. To my family, that means I'm not a real man. We didn't grow up poor in the no vacation way. We grew up poor in the lights off, mom crying over rent way. Dad worked at a factory and I idolized him. He used to say, "A real man isn't measured by money, Ethan, he's measured by what he can endure." I believed that, until I started making more in a month than he made in a year. Suddenly, everything changed. It's not real money, Ethan. At first, he brushed off my success as a scam. Then, when I started helping, buying groceries, paying bills, even covering his truck repairs, his resentment only grew. "When are you getting a real job? Must be nice doing nothing all day." Back in my day, men worked with their hands. He needed to believe I was lazy, that his way was still superior. The birthday. When he turned 50, we threw a big barbecue, friends, neighbors, beer, the works. I thought maybe this was my chance to show him I respected him, that I cared. So I gave him a $20,000 check, not because he needed it, but because I wanted to honor him. He opened it, looked at the number, then laughed. "You think this buys my respect?" Everyone went silent. "Keep your money, Ethan. Respect isn't bought." Then my brother Liam handed him a $20 pocket knife. Dad lit up like it was the best gift in the world. "Now this is thoughtful," he said proudly, "a real man's gift." Everyone laughed. And I sat there, a $20,000 fool holding a shredded check. That night, I made a choice. I wasn't their son anymore, I was their ATM. So I stopped paying. The fallout. 2 months later, the lights went out, the bills piled up. Liam bailed, and suddenly, I was the villain. Then came the call. "Dad, pick up the phone. Ethan." "Mom, do you even care what you've done? We have no power." "Me, you mean you didn't pay the bill?" "Dad, you were handling it, then you threw a tantrum like a child." "Me, laughing right. I'm the child, but you're calling me because you can't pay your own bills." "Mom, your father has to take night shifts again. Is that what you wanted?" "Me, he always said real men work with their hands. Guess now he gets to prove it." "Dad, don't talk to me like that." "Me, why not? You talked to me like that. Or did you forget laughing in my face when I handed you $20,000? Silence. Then Dad said quietly, "That's what this is really about, isn't it? You're still pouting about that." I clenched my jaw. "No, Dad, I just finally stopped paying for people who never respected me in the first place. I'm realizing things. I'm realizing now that I spent years paying for everything while you mocked me for it. And the second I stopped, you suddenly remembered how to dial my number." "Dad, you wouldn't understand. Ethan, you've never had to break your back for a paycheck. You've never worked until your hands bled just to feed your family." Something inside me snapped. "Me, and whose fault is that? I found another way, a better way. I figured out how to make money without destroying my body. Instead of being proud, you chose to insult me." Silence. Then, finally, the mask slipped. "Dad, you made more money in 2 years than I did in my whole life. Ethan, do you know how that feels? Watching your own son out-earn you like it's nothing?" There it was. It wasn't about respect or pride. It was jealousy. I took a slow breath and smiled. "Me, I hope you figure it out." And then I hung up. The aftermath. The guilt trips started immediately. Mom texted every day. "You're tearing this family apart. We raised you, Ethan. Don't we deserve something in return?" Liam, who had no problem mocking me months ago, suddenly cared. "Just help them so they stop calling me. You know you'll cave eventually. It's just money, man." But Dad never called again. Because for the first time in his life, he had nothing left to say. The breaking point. I thought cutting them off was the end, that they'd complain, move on, and figure things out. I was wrong. When people feel entitled to your help, cutting them off feels like betrayal. And when entitlement meets desperation, it gets ugly. It had been about a month since our last call. No texts, no drama, just peace. Until one night, I came home and saw someone waiting on the steps outside my apartment. It was Dad. He looked tired, angry, but desperate. "Dad, we need to talk." Me, sighing, there's nothing left to say. He pushed past me and walked straight inside, like he still owned the place. Me, "You can't just barge in here. Dad, you need to stop acting like a spoiled child and take responsibility." That stopped me cold. Me, responsibility? Dad, you don't abandon your family because you feel like it. We're about to lose everything, Ethan, and you're sitting here pretending it's not your problem. Me, arms crossed because it's not my problem. It never should have been. I helped because I wanted to, not because I had to. The second I stopped, you all turned on me. He clenched his jaw. Dad, you're still holding on to that? Me, scoffing, holding on to what? The part where you mocked me for giving you $20,000? Or when you said I wasn't a real man because I don't break my back in a factory? He ran a hand through his hair. Dad, look, I was frustrated, all right? Me, cutting him off. No, Dad, you were jealous. He flinched. Me, you couldn't stand that I made more money in 2 years than you did in your whole life. You hated that I didn't have to suffer to earn it. You didn't respect me because you didn't want to, because if you did, you'd have to admit that maybe, just maybe, you wasted your life struggling for nothing. His eyes burned. Dad, that's not true. Me, isn't it? Silence. Me, why are you here? Dad? Dad, exhaling, we can't pay the mortgage. The bank's taking the house. I stared at him. Dad, you need to step up and help your family. Me, laughing quietly, unbelievable. Dad, this house will be yours and Liam's one day. You're protecting your own future. Me, I don't want the house. I don't want anything from you. His face twisted. Dad, so that's it? You're just going to let us lose everything? Me, you let me go the second I stopped paying. Why should I save you now? He looked like he wanted to yell, then slumped, shoulders sagging. Dad, I worked my whole life, Ethan, and I have nothing to show for it. Me, that's not my fault. Dad, quietly, yeah. I guess it's not. For a second, I thought that was the end, that maybe he finally understood. But then his eyes hardened again. Dad, you'll regret this. One day, you'll need this family, and we won't be there. Me, smiling like how you weren't there for me when I needed your respect? He didn't answer. He just walked out. And I didn't stop him. The fallout. The next morning, Mom called. Mom, Ethan, what did you say to your father? He came home furious. Me, he asked for money. I said no. Mom, you can't do this to us. Me, I'm not doing anything. I just stopped cleaning up your mess. Mom, voice shaking, but what are we supposed to do? Me, figure it out, like every other adult. Mom, your father might have to work nights again. Me, he always said real men work with their hands. Now he gets to prove it. Mom, gasping, how can you be so heartless? Me, I learned from the best. Click. The call from Liam. A few days later, Liam called. I almost ignored it, but something told me to answer. Me, hello. Liam, hey. No sarcasm, no mocking tone, just hesitation. Me, what do you want? Liam, I know things are bad, but I need to tell you something before you make up your mind about Mom and Dad. Me, make up my mind about what? Liam, sighing, they're losing the house. Ethan, it's real this time. The bank's taking it. I leaned back, gripping the phone tighter. I already knew, but hearing it said out loud hit differently. Liam, I think we should try to save it. Me, bitter laugh, we? Liam, yeah, I don't have much, maybe $2,000, but if we both help, maybe we can stop them from losing everything. I was silent. Liam wasn't like them, he never expected me to pay for his life. Me, why do you care? You don't even live there anymore. Liam, because it's still home. Ethan. He paused, voice softer now. Liam, I know they've treated you like crap. They don't deserve your help, but this isn't about them, it's about us. That house is the only thing that ever felt like ours. My chest tightened. Liam, do you remember how we used to play hide and seek in the attic? Mom would yell at us for knocking things over. A faint smile crept onto my face. Yeah, and that treehouse Dad built in the backyard. It was crooked and barely holding together, but we thought it was the coolest thing ever. I closed my eyes, and for a moment, I was back there, the peeling white paint, the creaky wooden steps, the faint scent of old books mixed with Mom's vanilla candles. I'd spent years resenting that house for everything that happened inside it, but Liam was right. Before the manipulation, before the guilt trips and resentment, it had been home. I sighed. Liam, what if we give them the money and they mess it up again? He hesitated. Then at least we'll know we tried. I didn't reply. For the first time, I wasn't thinking about my anger. I was thinking about the version of me that once loved that house, and that's how, against my better judgment, I decided to help. I just didn't know how much it would cost me. The call. All right, read it. I thought I was done. I thought I'd walked away for good, but somehow, they pulled me back in. For the first time ever, my parents admitted they needed me, and against my better judgment, I gave them one last chance on my terms, a legal agreement. A few months after cutting contact, I got a text from my mom. Ethan, please, we need help. It's about the house. I stared at it for a long time. I knew exactly what this was about. I should have ignored it, but I didn't. I called. Mom, Ethan, thank goodness. Listen, what's wrong with the house? I cut in. There was a pause. Then she said quietly, the bank is going to take it. I exhaled. How much do you owe? They said we need $50,000 to stop the foreclosure. If we don't pay by the end of the month, it's gone. Silence. Then came the part I'd been waiting for. Ethan, you could help us just this once. A dry laugh escaped me. Me, like all the other times? Ethan, this is different. We're about to lose our home. I rubbed my temple. Fine, I'll help, but on my terms. The deal goes in writing. The agreement. We met at a lawyer's office, not at their house, not over dinner. This time, it was official. Dad sat across from me, arms crossed, jaw tight. He hated every second of it. Mom looked nervous. Liam didn't even show up. The lawyer slid the contract across the table. I'm loaning you $50,000. This is not a gift. It's a legally binding loan with scheduled payments. If you fail to pay, I will take legal action to recover my money. Mom's hands trembled as she picked up the papers. Ethan, is this really necessary? I looked her straight in the eye. Yes. Dad muttered. Family doesn't do this to each other. I raised an eyebrow. Funny, family doesn't do what you did to me either. Silence. The lawyer cleared his throat. Mr. and Mrs. Carter, if you agree, please sign at the bottom. Mom sighed, picked up the pen, and signed. Dad hesitated. I could see the battle between pride and desperation, but eventually, he signed too. Just like that, the deal was sealed. I transferred the money, and for a brief moment, I thought maybe, just maybe, this would be the turning point. I was so wrong. Broken promises. 1 month passed, no payment. 2 months, still nothing. By the 3rd month, I called my mom. Where's the money? She hesitated. Ethan, your father, he couldn't find work. His health isn't what it used to be. He really tried. Can't you just forgive the debt? I took a deep breath. No. She gasped. Ethan, how can you be so unkind? He's your father. I clenched my jaw, and I was his son, but that never stopped him from making me feel like I was nothing. Silence. Then she whispered, are you really going to put us through this? Me, yes. And I hung up. They left me no choice. I filed a lawsuit to recover my money. They had signed a contract. This wasn't a family matter anymore, it was a legal one. The courtroom. The court date arrived. Mom looked defeated. Dad looked furious. The moment the judge began reviewing the contract, Dad exploded. So this is what it's come to, taking your own parents to court over money? The judge tapped his gavel. Mr. Carter, please remain calm. But he wouldn't stop. You're not the same anymore, Ethan. Ever since you got money, you stopped caring about family. I kept my voice steady. I kept this family afloat for years. And what did I get? Insults. Mockery. The moment I stopped paying, you stopped treating me like a son. His face turned red. I don't recognize you anymore. I leaned forward. Good. Then you won't mind paying me back like I'm just another lender. Silence. The judge ruled in my favor. The house was put up for sale. They lost everything, and I got my $50,000 back. The last goodbye. A week after the house sold, I got one final text from my father. I hope you're happy. You sold out your own family for money. I stared at it for a long time, then I deleted it and blocked his number. Final thoughts. I am no longer their son. I used to believe family meant sacrifice, that no matter how badly they treated me, I was supposed to be there for them, but now I know the truth. Family isn't about blood, it's about respect. And when they lost respect for me, they lost me. So yeah, Reddit, I took my parents to court and I don't regret it. Final update, answering your questions. Why didn't you just let it go? It's just money. It was never just about the money. If my parents had come to me, admitted they were wrong, and said, "We treated you unfairly, we're sorry, maybe things could have been different." But they didn't. They ignored the agreement, expected me to forgive the debt, and when I didn't, my dad stood in court and told me I wasn't his son anymore. That wasn't a father asking for help. That was manipulation, one last attempt to control me. Would you have still taken them to court if your dad had tried to work? Yes, because trying isn't the same as taking responsibility. Even if they'd paid me $50 a month, it would have shown effort, but they didn't. They never intended to. Why did you even loan them money if you knew this would happen? Honestly, I wanted closure. I wanted to give them a fair, legal chance to do the right thing. I needed to know if they'd ever treat me with the respect they claimed money couldn't buy. And the answer was exactly what I expected. You sued your own parents. How do you sleep at night? Pretty well, actually. For years, I was the only one sacrificing, the only one giving. The moment I stopped, they turned on me. So no, I don't feel guilty. I feel free. Any regrets? Not a single one. If anything, I regret not setting boundaries sooner. For years, I let them guilt trip me into thinking I owed them my success, that because they raised me, I was forever in debt. But now I see it clearly. I didn't abandon them. They abandoned me the moment I stopped paying. I've moved on, I've found peace, and for anyone out there trapped by family guilt, remember this: you don't owe anyone your success. And the moment they treat you like an ATM instead of a person, walk away. That wasn't a father asking for help. That was a man trying to manipulate me the same way he always had. I stood up for myself, and honestly, it felt good. Would you have still taken them to court if your dad had actually tried to work? Yes, because trying isn't the same as taking responsibility. Even if he'd taken a low-paying job or sent me $50 a month, it would have meant something. It would have shown he understood this wasn't a gift, that he was making an effort. But they didn't. Instead, 3 months later, my mom called with zero intention of ever paying me back and expected me to just let it go. That's not trying. That's hoping I'd fold. Why did you even loan them money if you knew this would happen? Honestly, I needed to prove something to myself. I wanted to know if I gave them a real, legal chance, would they finally treat me with the respect they claimed money couldn't buy? Would they take accountability for once? Would they actually try? The answer was exactly what I expected. But you sued your own parents. How do you sleep at night? Pretty well, actually. For years, I was the only one sacrificing, the only one helping, the only one who ever stepped up. The moment I stopped, they turned on me completely. I don't feel guilty, I feel free. Any regrets? Not a single one. If anything, I regret not cutting them off sooner. For years, I let them guilt trip me into thinking I owed them my success, that because they raised me, I was forever obligated to take care of them, no matter how they treated me. But now I see clearly, I didn't abandon them. They abandoned me the moment I stopped paying. Final thoughts. I'm moving forward. I've put my family behind me and I'm focusing on my future. To everyone who supported me, thank you. I didn't expect this story to resonate with so many people, but it's comforting to know I'm not alone. For those who think I was too harsh, I get it, but I did what I had to do. And for anyone feeling trapped by family guilt, remember this: you don't owe anyone your success, and the moment they start treating you like an ATM instead of a person, walk away.